Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Happy 2021 to everyone. We start today's video with this shot from Robert, who has a 2020 Roxor that has been highly tuned. I will put a link to his video below. And the next video comes from the guys over at Titan Motoring, and they seem to have a factory lifted a Roxor, which has some very sweet additions. The guys do a quick walk around, and it seems to be a new addition to their channel. I highly recommend checking out Titan Motorsports, and I will put a link to their channel below. Check them out. Also, the 2021 Mahindra Roxor is still under wraps. So far, we know that the factory out in Michigan has laid off about 250 workers. So even if the production of the new Roxor starts, we know it won't be full-blown balls to the wall starting. They will start gradually and slowly ramp up. The number thrown out there, 250, is about half of the current workforce, according to some sources. So back to the Roxor. My Roxor has been sitting for a while. Just a combination of work and just being busy with other projects. So you see it's smoking quite a good bit, and it also tends to do that when I have the tune on the P2, which is like the maximum tune level. So I imagine that there is quite a bit of fuel which is being sent to the engine through the injectors. Typically, after sitting this long, it's good to start it on the normal setting, or take the economy tune, which reduces the amount of fuel getting into the cylinders. But it doesn't take too long. After about, I would say, 2 minutes, the smoke starts to clear up, and then everything smooths out. It is worth noting that if you have a heater in your Roxor, it takes a little while for it to stay warm or get warm and stay warm. I lost a nut over there, but I had the other one tightened up, so my exhaust is not rattling all over the place. I'll look for a replacement. It seems to be I don't know, the Roxor uses a combination of metric and standard, so I'll have to find out what that is. And as you can see, I still have my flat tire, and I have this mess of cables that I will have to sort out and get them out of the way. They present a hazard when you're driving the Roxor. You could step on them or pull on them and cause a short, which I don't want to happen. So the plan for today is to get some air in the tire and tidy up those cables, and then we'll see what we can do. I have my little gauge there, which I can use to display, I believe, up to about 8 different parameters, but I haven't had time to mess with it and configure the various parameters. Also, the rigid cube lights which you see outside, I just haven't had the time to mess with them and order the harness that will allow me to have them hooked up. But I have a switch inside, and hopefully I will be able to figure it out if we continue to have the warm weather this winter that we've been having so far. So I have the tape in my pocket to keep it warm. I will start first by just holding the wires together neatly. The ideal thing to have used would have been zip ties, but I couldn't find my cache of zip ties. So I'll just use the electrical tape and try to put some order in the wiring before I stash it away. it is sad that we have to, start wiring up the Roxor in this manner. Uh, it's true there's a factory harnesses for most of the things we're looking at, like heaters, air conditioning, but it's always best to have plug and play setups which are more robust and make more sense for users down the road. If you have ever tried to buy a used Jeep, any of the CJs from the 80s or the late 70s, you will understand what I'm talking about. Over the years, people add accessories, people modify the wiring, and by the time you get it, let's say in the in this day and age, you just find a rat nest of wiring, which is just a hazard. So some companies have come up with painless wiring kits, which allow you to just rip out the old wiring harness completely, and then you just plug and play the new harness. So here we have everything kind of cleaned up and ready to be stashed away. So there's a lot of space, surprisingly, behind this the dash of the Roxor. I'll just push everything up there, hold it with a bit of tape, and when it warms up, then I'll be able to look for a more permanent home and have it secured with zip ties. So with that done, everything looks clean now. I should be able to drive over to the garage, the little shop, and get some air in the tire. And like I said, it doesn't warm up in the Roxor if you leave it idling if it's very cold outside. So you have to either be driving or, unfortunately, there's no fast idle that we can program for the Roxor. So it idles really low at about 800, as opposed to many North American diesel trucks, which would idle at about maybe 900, 1000. But on the plus side, in warmer climates, you can have this thing idle for the whole day on just about maybe 2 gallons of diesel. So it's very, very economical where it's idling right now. Matter of fact, I seem to remember that in Africa, you could have some of those Toyota diesel trucks, like the Hilux, or some of the Land Cruisers idle really, really slow, like at about 500 RPMs. So the Roxor idling at 800, it's okay, I would say. And here we're just backing up. No backup camera, so I have to twist around to be able to see where I'm going. And just one thing while we were backing up, when you lift up your Roxor and let's say you want to test an electrical component, you might be tempted to use your hand to push down on the clutch and then start the Roxor while you're standing outside. That is something I would highly discourage, because the torque from that engine, even at idle, will cause the Roxor to take off on you. Traditionally, most vehicles, either their weight or the gearing would cause the clutch or the engine to bog down and die, but the Roxor has a lot of torque. So if you're trying to start it from outside and you're tempted to use your hand to step on the clutch and start it, just be very careful. Know that the torque at idle will power the Roxor away from you. So it's not recommended at all. A couple of days ago, we had some very, very high winds. I believe they were up to about 80, 90 miles an hour. And that must have brought this nylon bag all the way around my axle. And then with time it filled up with snow. So get that out of there before it breaks it destroys my brake line or causes any kind of damage. And I'm really hoping that this 2021 starts very well for those who used to work for the Roxor manufacturing plant out in Michigan. So hopefully it opens up faster than normal, because I believe there's a lot of pent up demand for the Roxor. So we're here to just add some air to the tire. As you can see, it's all crushed. That's lost every little bit of air it had. All right, so let's get the hose out here. Most people would run about between, I would say, 15 to 30 psi on these Roxors, depending on the kind of tires you have. And some ATV parks would actually limit the tire pressure you can run, because they don't want high pressure tires to destroy their trails. So on this Roxor, you can go as low as at times even 10 psi with some of those bigger tires I have, and you won't have any sensible loss of pressure when you push on the side wall of the tire. I'm curious as to what pressures people are running. For the on-road units, I think most people are running about 30 psi. But there we got a little bit of air in the tire. I didn't verify the pressure. I just eyeballed everything. And the Roxor is ready to rock and roll. When I turn the steering wheel lock to lock, it has this squealing sound. And I did a few of those in second gear, and then I shifted to first. It's just amazing to see how that tiny little engine can power those big tires, spin them all the way around so fast. But that's just having a little fun with the Roxor. And if you have your Roxor lifted like the one I have right now, bear in mind your center of gravity is quite high. I believe the guys who do the rock climbing have a different suspension setup compared to the guys who do mostly mud bogging. So build your Roxor according to your needs and according to your planned use. For me, I just didn't have any endpoint on my mind when I started my build. I just got whatever parts I thought looked nice and slapped them on the Roxor. So it's neither a rock slider or a rock crawler or a mud bogger. It's just a Roxor with a lift. And I don't have any lockers, be it on the front axle or the rear. It's just stock, and with the stock gearing also. Each time I drive the Roxor, I try to shift it between 2 high, 4 high, and at times I do the 4 low, and 4 high. Well, 2 high, 4 high, and follow. I try to shift the transfer case through all those settings, and with time I have noticed that progressively it has gotten better and easier shifting through those points. So it looks much better inside now. I still have the harness for the light bar, which you can see hanging behind the on the rear window. I haven't decided what accessory I would actually connect to that. I could put a sound bar or I could put a light bar. Just haven't decided yet. And I'm still looking for a stock spare tire which I can have in the back in case I have a flat tire when I'm away from my base. And this is going on 2 years, and the Roxor, I would say, still looks pretty good. Oh, going to 3 years, because I believe I got it in around October in 2018. So to 2019, that's the first year, and then to 2020, that's the second year. So about 2.5 years and still going strong. That says a lot to the build quality, which I had no doubt was top notch before I got the Roxor. Again, the corrosion proofing of the Roxor may not be the absolute best, but you can mitigate rust and corrosion by ensuring that you keep your Roxor clean. So you take it down into water, you take it down the bogs, or you drive on roads that have been treated with salt or other chemicals in winter. Wash off the Roxor, wash off those chemicals, don't let them sit on the Roxor. Otherwise, corrosion will set in. And I also enjoy the indicator lights. There's a plug and play kit, but I thought the price was a little high, so that's why I made mine. But I would highly recommend the plug and play if you want to spend more time driving and less time fooling around underneath your Roxor. Mine took quite a while because I had everything, but I did it in, I took my time. Let's put it that way. So after driving around, doing a few burnouts, the Roxor actually warmed up pretty nice inside. I was able to sit inside and spend a few minutes just enjoying, driving around. What I will have to do soon will be to check both axles, because I haven't really checked on them since I got the Roxor, and I believe it may be time to check, make sure the oil level inside is good and that there hasn't been any kind of contamination from water or melting snow or ice, and just make sure everything is good. So far, I have no reason to believe there's any issue because everything seems to work as advertised. Well, I guess I will be seeing you guys on the next video. Hopefully it wouldn't be as long, and I'm hoping that the 2021 Roxor gets released here soon. Many people are anxiously waiting to see what it looks like, how it drives, and what other modifications would have been done to the Roxor. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.